Please welcome back to the stage, founding executive and member of the board of directors, Dr. David Hill.
I know the question's burning in your mind right now. Is the curtain going to come down again, and is Dr. Hill going to do the same thing? It won't look the same, trust me. It will not be the same thing. Can we give another round of applause for Dr. DeBell and Dr. Misha for the wonderful work that they're doing. It's a great privilege for me to recognize that although there was a time where we all felt somewhat isolated, even you perhaps did, in your love for essential oils, to now have it so well invigorated within so many different disciplines around the world, for science and for education and for medicine and healthcare. What was once something very obscure and very isolated is now very well accepted, and as we all know and understand, very powerful for each of us. Now it's my privilege to address you for a few moments longer and share a little bit more information with you and a couple of other exciting things that are happening in doTERRA right now. How many of you love frankincense essential oil? Somebody asked me just this morning, I was in having my hair and makeup done. It's the worst part of having to come out here on stage. Yesterday they asked me, they said, you want to have hair and makeup, right? I'm like, yes, I want hair, but I don't want you to do my hair. And no, I don't want makeup. Well, I think we need to touch you up just a little bit, so. Somebody asked me while I was there this morning, what's your favorite essential oil? And my answer was a fairly quick one, that it's frankincense essential oil. And I think I love frankincense probably for the same reasons that you do. I've said for a long period of time now, when in doubt, get your frankincense out. Frankincense is another daily use product. You heard such a wonderful discussion now about why the Omega Plus is so powerful to us, and also why the VMG Plus is necessary. The essential oils are a necessary part of your daily routine as well, and frankincense, in my mind, stands as that foundational oil. If you were to take all oils away from me, and I could only have one, frankincense is the oil that I would choose. Now there's more than 50, thank you. A few of you agree with me, that's always reassuring. There's more than 50 different species of frankincense that come from all over the world, and you're probably familiar with that. It comes from Somalia, from Oman, from Ethiopia, and actually many other places. And one of the things that's interesting about essential oils is that no matter what part of the world they come from, they have their own unique chemistry because of that change of environment that they grow within as a plant material. And in this case, that's known as chemical polymorphism. Now, the types of frankincense that we generally concentrate on here in doTERRA is Carterii as a species, Feriana as a species, Sacra, and then of course we have the Papyrifera. We at doTERRA have done something very unique with our frankincense that I believe most people are familiar with, but maybe not all, and so I'll share it here. And that is that we have blended these 4 species of frankincense together, all coming from Boswellia, but that has given us a very unique chemical profile. Now let me talk with you a little bit about chemistry. I will be honest that chemistry is one of my least favorite subjects. When I was going to school, I hated the fact that I had to have all kinds of chemistry, including organic chemistry, that never seemed to end in the process. but I've learned to love chemistry because of what it represents with the essential oils. One of the things that's unique about chemistry is the individualism of that chemistry. So let me lay a little bit of a foundation for why this matters to us and why we care so much about the chemistry. First off, in organic chemistry, we know that chemistry, different molecules within a chemistry profile, support one another. They work as active pairs in situ, meaning that if I have one present and one is missing, the value of that chemistry is greatly diminished. One of the challenges that we have faced with essential oils outside of doTERRA, and why our framework for why quality is so important and co-impact sourcing resides at the whole of that process, is because it allows us to have what's known as a complete chemistry profile. When we adulterate, when we change, when we synthetically create essential oils, we lose those biochemical pairs, which means the effectiveness of the chemistry is greatly diminished. The other challenge that we have is that much of the molecules that we find in nature are not molecules that we can recreate scientifically. And so much of the time, many of the essential oils are missing critical components of the essential oil. Here's another foundational thing for you to just keep in mind when we talk about chemistry in doTERRA, because this always applies. In doTERRA, we can say that essential oils have broad spectrum activity. Part of that is the benefits that they provide. This is one of the things that I've always said about frankincense. Frankincense has a broad spectrum of activity. Chances are any of you could come to me and say, Dr. Hill, here's what's going on with me, and I, one way or another, could say, here's why frankincense would be beneficial for you. That's broad spectrum activity. The other part of broad spectrum activity is that all chemistry matters within the essential oil. And not chemistry that we've deemed to be valuable, but all chemistry as it was created in nature. This is a little bit confusing because sometimes, you heard Dr. DeBell talk about orange oil, for example, we have dominance of chemistry in some of the essential oils. Tangerine is another citrus oil that has dominance of chemistry with limonene, and he spoke about limonene and its value to you. Wintergreen has dominance of chemistry. Other essential oils, like spikenard, for example, all of the chemistry in spikenard, it's unique as an essential oil because very little of that chemistry exists at more than 0.02%. And so which chemistry component of that is effective? Which one is most important? In essential oils, they all are equally important, and here's why. Now, you just learned a lot about metabolism. You learned a lot about the profiles of the body and how things are assimilated in the body with nutrients and elements of cofactorial benefit associated with that. All of those things combined together means the exact same thing with the essential oils, that even small, minute amounts of chemistry are not of inconsequence in the essential oils. They are essential. They're essential because they help to drive the processes of that cell communication that we talked about. So when we look at essential oils, I was visiting with somebody one time who was an expert chemist in essential oils. And we were talking about a particular essential oil that might even have been frankincense. And I shared with him, well, we've identified all of these different compounds, and you know, the oils can have hundreds of different compounds. And it makes really sometimes creates some difficulty in identifying what all of those are. And he laughed at me. I said, why are you laughing at me? He goes, you know the compounds that you've detected. All essential oils have thousands of different compounds. Can you start to understand why we have to protect inherently the natural consequence of the oils that we have in doTERRA? We cannot reproduce those profiles with accuracy. Nobody in the world can. And so we rely 100%, which is fundamental to who we are as a company, on the oils as they're developed in nature, in their most pure form. in their most complete form. That is a difference maker in doTERRA, and no matter how much, sorry, I'm going to get on my horse for a minute, because I have grown tired of people saying, oh yeah, we do that too. No, you don't. No, you don't. And it's time for people to stop pretending like they do. Now, all of that benefit combined is something that we call co-active benefit. Now, we've solved a big challenge with the essential oils. If Dr. Osgoodthorpe were here with you today, he would get giddy at this point and be so excited. I remember when he came into my office and he said, we did it, Dr. Hill, we did it. And he talked about how when we blend essential oils, we get specific chemistry profile. Now, I laughed back at him when he said that, because I told him, I said, do you really think we've never done this before you came? I don't understand. It was the newness of the process for him. What we've done with frankincense is we have blended those 4 essential oils together. And here's why we do that. We would like to have specific chemical profile and consistent chemical profile. One of the things, because of chemical polymorphism, is that you can have variation. But in our minds, we said, because frankincense is an oil that we care about, that we need for daily health, because of the support that it provides for the body, we have to have consistency in that profile. We need to know what that essential oil will do with consistency when we utilize it. The only way we can do that, because we cannot remove chemistry and we cannot add chemistry, is to blend chemistry together. And when we do that, we can measure out specific ratios or tolerance. We call that a spec. In doTERRA, with oils like, for example, frankincense, oils like peppermint is another one that we have done that with, and lavender is another oil we have done that with. Needing the consistency, it allows us to have a profile where we can adjust the ratios of the different species to get exactly what we want every single time. And that is why when you use doTERRA essential oils, you have the benefit that you receive. How well have we done that? We have done that better than anyone in the world, and this is going to be very bold. I know I'm going to get in trouble when I walk off stage. We do it better than even the pharmaceutical industry does with medicine. Here's why I say that. Here's why I say that. In the medical arena and pharmaceuticals, we can have wide variation, as much as 10 to 15% variation in formula. So this time, this is what the formula looked like, but next time it was a variation of up to 15%. We believe that that is not acceptable. Our variation when we do this is less than 1%. In fact, it hovers around 0.02% variation. Somebody accused us not too long ago and say, well, you standardize your oil, which means you doctors them. And I said, no, it doesn't. It just means we know more than you do. I don't say that boastfully. I say that out of great pride and a great sense of responsibility for what we're doing with the essential oils. And as a result, you have reliability in how you use the oils. Frankincense to me is a daily use essential oil. And when we look at this, there's value that comes from even just breathing in the aroma. We can affect the neurochemical responses with the body, the limbic system within the body. We can use the essential oil also in ways that allows it to affect the digestive system, where we can have broad response, systemic response throughout the entire body. We know that applying it topically allows it to help our tissues to remain healthy, localizing benefit and having recovery of the tissues. Now, one of the great things about frankincense is when we distill frankincense, we also receive a byproduct that also comes from the resin from which we distill the essential oil, and it's called boswellic acids. There's a lot of confusion about boswellic acids. One of the very first lectures I ever heard about essential oils was a scientist talking about the value of boswellic acids. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I think I'm allergic to you. My wife told me I had to come prepared today, so in case I cry, I have a Kleenex, so don't worry about me that way, I'll be okay. Excuse me, I'm okay, I just have a dry throat. But when my voice is dry, it sounds great. It's fresh? Fresh what? Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. You two are my heroes. A whole room full of doTERRA wellness advocates, and only two care about me. Thank you so very much. I'll leave this here so I can spill it when I'm walking around. That'll be perfect. What was I talking about? Boswellic acids. There's a lot of confusion about boswellic acids. There truly is. One of the very first lectures I ever heard was a scientist talking about his study that he had done with cancer specifically, and talking about how boswellic acids had a framework of value within that. I remember listening to that lecture and saying, I don't know a lot about essential oils, which I did not at that point. But I don't think boswellic acids are a part of the essential oil. It's a botanical that's a byproduct from the essential oil. I hear a lot of people talking about, recently I saw another study on frankincense, talking about the value of frankincense, and they identified that the most valuable compound that we find in the essential oil is boswellic acids. If there is any boswellic acids available within the frankincense, it would be highly unusual. And as well, it would be not detectable if it was there, or highly unlikely that it would be detectable. And yet we've known in doTERRA for a long period of time that boswellic acids have a tremendous amount of value because of the health benefits that they possess. Years ago, we began having discussions of would it be remarkable if we had a way that we could take advantage of boswellic acids and frankincense. And the answer is that that would be remarkable, and we have solved that problem for you with the new frankincense capsule. Now, here's what I love about the things that we do with this, and I have to give pause here just for a moment. My time is quickly running out, but I don't care. I have to give pause for just a moment here. I know that when you're listening to other people speak, you're mesmerized by the talent that they possess, the amount of knowledge that they have, and Dr. DeBell fits into that category. I greeted him as he came off stage and told him how much I appreciated him. He's a genius in my mind. Years ago, Alex DeBell came to my office one day, not as a doctor at that time, and yet somebody very accomplished. And he said, Dr. Hill, I have an idea. Would you like to hear it? And I said, I would. And he laid out for me this whole thought process that he had, that if we somehow could combine a botanical with the essential oil, we might see some spectacular benefits that would come from that. The oil that he identified at that time was turmeric essential oil. It took a little bit of time, but then we solved that nut under his direction, under his insight, and we brought you this turmeric dual capsule, which is amazing in the benefits that it receives. We see something similar here with frankincense now as an extension of that initial concept he came. By the way, can we tell him thank you for being insightful and creative? And listen, you have to accept that no matter how good you think you are going to be surrounded by people who are brilliant and many times know more than you do. And if you can just partnership with them, if you can let them rise, they will bring opportunity not just to themselves, but to each one of us. So Alex, Dr. DeBell, thank you. Thank you for your efforts. One of the things that is a little bit unique about boswellic acids is that it is readily available, but it sometimes is a little bit challenged unless it's in the presence of fats. So there's a couple of things to think about here. We've been talking about daily use with essential oils and daily use now with some of our nutritional products, laying that foundation of wellness that we can all draw upon. In this context, taking this product with the fatty acids removes all doubt about the bioavailability of the frankincense. And the fact that it's combined with the essential oil that is also lipophilic will also increase the benefit and the value of that. Now, here's why we care about boswellic acids, and this is something that we've known for a long period of time, but we've done some clinical studies on this already, and one of the things that we found when we look at inflammation pathways, you know, we're going to talk a lot about inflammation tomorrow and how and why that's valuable to the body, but how that can be very detrimental to the body. And we affect two very specific pathways with boswellic acids in this complex. One is called the IL-6 pathway, and we reduced, in this case, the inflammatory markers associated with unwanted inflammation by 27%. Just from taking this one product. And then the other one that we did was C-reactive protein, which we also reduced. Can I just say something real quick? I'm going to, even if you say no, but let me share something I thought with you. Some of the things that we talk about in doTERRA, I know many of you sit there and you think to yourself, that's not my challenge. That's not my issue. But it is. And we talk about the things that we do, we get focused and narrowed in on some of these concepts, like these unwanted inflammatory responses within the body, because they're drivers of so many other health conditions and challenges that we all face. And you cannot feel within yourself unless you have the outward expression and progression that has come for a long period of time. Unless you're sitting here today with really difficult things that are inflammatory based, and you have the outward expression of those and knowledge of those, it's difficult to say, yeah, well, I know I have that and I need to deal with that. Effectively, one of the most powerful things that we can do always in regards to our own health and wellness is to work through a model of prevention. What do I do to abate, which Alexandria did a wonderful job of sharing with you. Prevention is a better model in this process. And that's why statistically this becomes so important. This is significant, the findings that are associated with this. Here's another finding that we have, which we don't know what this means yet, but what it illustrates is very powerful. We've known for a long period of time that epigenetics is really, even though it's focused on the genetics of who you are as a person, it's focused on lifestyle and our ability to change not our genetic coding, but our outcomes associated with that. In this profile, we looked at frankincense essential oil, and we noticed in this profile that we did that there were more than 2,200 cell targets associated with frankincense essential oil. More than 2,200 places where we upregulated or we downregulated specific cell response. That's remarkable. That's broad spectrum activity. But then we combined it in the whole of what we have now with the boswellic acids and frankincense combined together, and more than 44,000 individual sites and responses where we upregulated and we downregulated. Don't tell me that essential oils are not influential. Don't tell me that they're anecdotal. Don't tell me that they have no place in our individual usage, and that it shouldn't be a part of healthy outcomes that we're pursuing and seeking for ourselves and those that we most care about on a daily basis. What we really have is we have a dual pathway now. multiples of pathways where we have the essential oil, as I just illustrated to you, along with the botanical of frankincense, and we're eliciting responses in a much broader perspective. Now, over time, we'll have a better idea of exactly what all of that means, and it will help us to refine, as we are currently doing for what dosage actually is and the preferred models of usage. This is the progression of not being idle in doTERRA. This is the progression of not being satisfied where we currently stand. We have much, much more yet to do in doTERRA, and I, for one, am very excited about seeing what the future will hold for us. Because it all leads us to the ability to build upon the knowledge we currently have and execute better outcomes for ourselves in the future that are more precise. Not by discovering new principles, but building upon the principles that we already understand. So grateful to be a part of that in our journey and in our processes of doTERRA equal to your own. Now let me talk about just a couple more things real quickly, and I'll do this quick because I am out of time. I said I don't care, but I really do. So Keala Kekua, I don't know how many of you are familiar with our mountain reserve that we have in Hawaii, but this is a reforestation project. It's a reforestation project that's one of the largest that's ever been undertaken. In Hawaii, this was a project that was undertaken with, we bought 16,000 acres on the Big Island near Kona. And in that acreage, you can see that it had all been stripped of its sandalwood trees, and basically nearly all trees were gone. For the last several years now, we have been planting trees. And in planting those trees, we've planted sandalwood trees, we've planted koa trees, and this is now, this is the exact same place that I just showed you. This is remarkable, and we're not done yet. We've only been able to affect a small area, but we are continuing to move forward, and eventually we will bring back a thriving industry of sandalwood in its rightful place, which is on the islands of Hawaii. So we're grateful for projects like this. Not too long ago, I was visiting this mountain preserve, and we were going through and we were looking at the trees and doing my wife and I were trying desperately to find the trees that we planted, but we decided they're just the biggest ones, and that's what we should accept. One of the things that was interesting was one of the individuals who works there with us said, I want to show you a koa tree, a Naio wood tree, Naio wood. And I said we'd be happy to. And he shared some of the things that they were experimenting with this tree that is also native to Hawaii. And it turns out that it produces an essential oil, which we've known about for a while, but had not really pursued, that is a little bit unique. It's a little bit unique because its chemistry, which is primarily alpha bisabolol as an alcohol, the high content of that makes it unique as a wood essential oil. We like that because wood oils in general are very healthy for the structure and the function of your skin. For example, alpha bisabolol has antimicrobial benefits. It has benefits to help your skin retain all of its moisture and sebum production, so your skin doesn't dry out. As well as, along with frankincense and many of the other wood oils, it helps to build the underlying structure and tissues of the skin. So collagen support and elastin support and all of the different things that are associated with that. We thought it would be wonderful if we created for you a specialized application that includes frankincense and Naio wood. Now this is meant to be used topically, and you get all of the benefits of frankincense and Naio wood. And remember what happens when we combine essential oils together. We have a much broader spectrum of activity that we call co-active benefit. It's a synergistic model that allows us to have more activation, encompass more of our needs with a single application. So there's great convenience associated with this. my invitation to you is to use the new Frankincense Dual Cap, use the Frankincense Stick, and it's my understanding that as a part of your convention kit, you're also going to receive a Naio wood. Thank you for letting me be here with you today. I'm looking forward to the rest of my time with you. Thank you.